my favorite quote is nothing great's ever been accomplished without enthusiasm. Fake energy to me is still energy. I don't do I'm not a rah-rah guy. You're either teaching or you're encouraging in our practice and the way we do things. So you're either coaching someone up or you're encouraging them to do it.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it.
Today, we are joined by the head boys basketball coach of Anna High School, Kyle Phifer. With 14 years of experience, 8 seasons as a head coach, his overall record is 160 wins and only 102 losses. Previously, he led White Wright High School to the 2A regional tournament in 2015. In 2017, Coach Phifer and his staff was named 11 4A Staff of the Year. At Anna, he's led the Coyotes to the playoff wins in 2017, 2021, and 2022. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
What's going on, man?
I haven't done a Zoom in a while.
Yeah, things are getting back to normal, so the need for all the Zooms aren't there anymore.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So how's everything going?
Oh, it's good. Just finished up the school day here and got some dudes in the gym right now, which I love that. But yeah, it's all good. How about you?
Same. We're I actually have 9th period conference, so we have about 10 minutes before school's out. But yeah, just finishing up the day. So.
Nice. When's athletic period for you?
4th period. We have 1st period as our freshman. We've always done 1st year the last 2 or 3 years, I guess. We switched to 4th this year. I actually like it. And then so they come back after school, they get some open gym, that type of stuff. So.
Nice. What do you like about having it in the middle of the day? We have the same thing here.
Breaks it up. So I've had an 8th period. I did not like it at all because 8th period I felt like goes on forever.
Yeah.
So, but I think 4th period you can go, we can do our skill stuff during 4th and then come back, do team stuff after school or do team stuff during 4th, after school skills, shooting, whatever it is. So I like that.
I completely agree. I think we have it 2nd period and there's times where I would like it to be, after school so that, or the last period of the day so we can roll right into it. But I'm afraid that during the season, the want to do skill work would kind of go away because maybe something with our team that an opponent we have. So we use 2nd period athletics as pure skill work every day throughout the whole school year. So even on a game day, we don't do a walkthrough, we do skill work. I think it'd be the temptation to blur that or even take that out and have more team practice would be there.
I like that. So when do you do your walkthrough?
Don't do one.
Okay.
Don't do one. But that's also, I hope it doesn't come across as lazy or arrogant. That's not the point. The point is we're pretty simple with what we do. And I'd rather us continue to grow and feel good. I mean, why does Curry, even at this stage, still go out there and do his 2-ball routine to get shots up before the game? I feel like as an individual, he wants to feel really good about his skill where he's at. We use those game day athletic periods as that shots up, ball handling, and almost as if you wouldn't know, except for maybe a couple half court shot minutes that we take, that it's a game day. You wouldn't know.
So you feel like you're getting an extra 20, 25 days of skill development that other people aren't.
Yeah, if you do it by minutes, I mean, that's 20, 25 days or 30 days, right? Depending on tournaments, but times 43 minutes. I mean, that compound effect starts to really add up. I mean, who knows how many hundreds or thousands of shots extra these guys are getting, or we could work on the other team's out of bounds plays that we're just going to switch everything anyway. But again, it's all choice, right? We all choose what we value and what we spend our time on. I choose to value shooting and making the individual better.
I gotcha. No, I like that. I like that a lot.
I just want to first thank you so much for giving up your time You and I would say we have a friendship. We kind of
Yes,
run
sir.
into each other randomly, talk to each other randomly, but you are one of those guys that I admire for having a great program. And also you have a good reputation. Like people talk about you in a good way. And I think that's something really important. So thank you for coming on with me, man.
I appreciate it. I'm excited. I'm fired up to be on, and you've had some big time guests on here as well. So I listen to it probably at least 2 or 3 times a week. So
That's cool. You just never know, really. Like if it's just you, or you're just going. If it's just me listening to these, then at least I'm getting a lot of good golden nuggets and some great ideas. But man,
oh yeah.
thanks for doing that.
Yeah, oh, for sure. So, I mean, you get to sit down with and pick who it is you can talk to, pick their brain, ask them. I mean, you can kind of steer it how you want and just kind of get insight. Like me talking with you, I get your skill development on game day. That's the great part of it.
I love going down to TABC. I enjoy the speakers, and
Mhm.
I want to always make sure that I have this attitude of anybody that I'm talking to or listening to, that I can learn something from them. Because the moment that I start to think that what are they talking about, that doesn't apply, man. Like, and I've been there. I think that's a scary, kind of a bad place to be. So but we are just kind of held captive to whatever subject matter they're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And I have questions, or I have some thoughts, or so yeah, getting to do this just from a selfish standpoint, these are the questions that like I really want to know from people
Definitely.
beyond X's and O's, even
Yeah.
though that's fun to talk about too.
No, definitely. And I think it also goes to show this area. I mean, the state of Texas for basketball right now is, I mean, it's got to be. I don't know if there's another places has the talent and the quality as we have right now. So,
No doubt. I haven't even uh, I haven't there's a list of people that I haven't even contacted yet that I'm interested in talking with. I haven't even gone to people I've already had on and said, hey, who are the two people that you think I should talk to? Like, you're right. Like, there's just so many, and that the college coaches are great to talk to. And I mean, I was just taking notes over Kelvin Sampson's episode, trying to go through some of the nuggets from his, and um, so those guys are great. But the high school coaches, man, the small college coaches, it's been so special.
oh, I bet. I bet. Oh, I just appreciate you doing it. So I love listening. So
Thanks, man. I hopefully too, like, it was during the pandemic, I was talking with a Rockwall girls coach. She wanted to talk about shooting, and so we're kind of going through some of the normal things, and then it just kind of organically went to uh, culture, and some things she does. She takes her girls to a cabin. I was like, that's cool, but I've heard about that.
yeah,
But then she had this kind of script that she takes her girls through and some activities, and I thought, wow, that's really cool, and not about guys or girls at all. I mean, there's great girls coaches too,
yeah,
but this is the Rockwall girls. I would have never heard from her, and unless you're a public school coach who wins state,
yeah.
you're not gonna speak at TABC. So like, how many coaches like you, Jeff Clarkson, like all these other guys that are just phenomenal, that like here's a platform for them and for us to be able to learn what they do. So
For sure.
I do love getting to hear from great leaders like you and these other coaches that I've had the pleasure of talking to. And what's interesting to hear about is who they're listening to, who they read, who they follow. So what are some leaders that you really like to learn from?
From high school, I think, yeah, I think in this area, I'm looking at guys like you, what you're putting out on social media, what you're putting out with your podcast, Coach Peeler at Highland Park, obviously, Coach Hill Jesuit, you just had released his, who I think is one of the best. Coach Sip at Allen, I think, does an unbelievable
Yeah.
job. That clinic, the Maverick Clinic, a few years ago, I think Youngblood put it on, where they had Coach Peeler's shooting clinic, Coach Hill's transition clinic, and then Coach Sip had his finishing school and what he went through. I mean, that has to be one of the top clinics. I think Coach Mitchell from Legacy was on there. I mean, you're talking about some unbelievable guys. But anyways, those guys are really good. For high school, I think Coach Ryan at the Colony is another one. You're always looking to see what he's doing. Uh, for guys that you've worked with, obviously, or for, like, when you had Clarkson on, I love listening to that episode just because of your dynamic of working under him and the relationship you guys have, I think is really neat. And you're always rooting for guys that, are good guys. So
Yeah.
from the college aspect, I think Coach McGaslin at UNT, I think is one of the best minds in college basketball. I think, you look at his career. When I went to a clinic when he first got the UNT job, North Texas officials put it on, and that was one of the best ones I've ever been to. He is one of the best teachers of the game, and I think he gets it at the way he teaches competing. I think he explains the game. I've had the opportunity to go watch his practice of his. I mean, he just does a great job. Coach Hodge is with him as well.
Yeah.
I think he does a great job. Those two. I'm a big fan of Coach Cross at Troy from his days at UTA. He's a good one. Yeah, a guy I used to coach with at Athens, Texas, who is now at who went to Killeen, ended up on his staff at Troy. So that even makes it better. So you're always rooting for those guys, seeing what they're doing. Kelvin Sampson. Everybody wants that tough program we talk about, stuff like that. From a football perspective, I think football is probably one of the best coach sports, as far as detail and organization and those guys. So Saban, Belichick, always seeing what they're doing. A Napier, who just got hired at Florida, who's a Saban guy. I like watching his stuff. And, then like Kevin Eastman, who is like you had him on, I got the opportunity to have him on during COVID. And I took a picture when he was in my waiting room, it was like, man, I made it, so.
I don't know about if you felt this way. I just felt so inadequate the whole time talking to him. Like, I don't need to be on this call right here.
Exactly. So he has so much knowledge and he's so well-spoken and genuine, it just, so, all those guys I try to follow. Buzz Williams is a culture guy, love following his stuff. So, anything for me, anything that I feel like, so if I can talk to you about shooting, I just became a better coach at shooting. Culture, what you're doing with your social media and your skill aspect, and I got your info from a guy who was the head coach at Denison who went and during, I can't remember, PGC clinic maybe or Glacier clinic or something. He went and watched you guys practice and he came back and he said, you got to go see Saman's practice. He said, it's unbelievable, what they're doing skill wise and this and that. So I'm just trying to talk to people, see what they're doing and trying to honestly steal, what makes this guy so good.
Yeah. And I love it. Greg White, a guy from, I think Arkansas.
Yeah. Arkansas.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Walmart. Where's Walmart? The headquarters.
Oh, is that the town?
Yeah.
Where is that? Nice.
It's not Fayetteville. That's the University of Arkansas. Yeah.
It was like, that's been really fun with this too, is just there's some great minds in Texas, but then it's just through social media, through Twitter, people that I follow. And you just nailed it. Like, it's so cool how the coaching community, how willing to share, the people are, and you rarely get told no by anybody. But he said, he had a good point. He's like, I never say stealing. He says, I borrow. We borrow everything, because he was really big on his wording. And so you're right on the money though, is we all borrow and we steal things from other people that when we see something or hear something that might work with our program, with our kids, that is what it's all about. And then the willingness of these guys that just have such great minds to be open to discussing what they do is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you just had a great list of leaders right there. What are some characteristics, that they have that just makes you kind of gravitate towards them?
Number one, they're genuine. They know who they are. I think that's an important one. When I've look at these guys, and then I'm going to piggyback off that. They're genuine in the fact they're serving others, but they're constantly, you talk about a Coach Peeler at Highland Park. You ask Coach Peeler something, you ask him how you attack this defense. He's going to send you 10 clips he has of how he does it, in the middle of a season when he's preparing for his own team as well. Coach Hill at Jesuit, I'll send him a text. Hey, Coach, working on situations right now. What are some things I could work on? And you see the 3 dots, Then the phone rings. Hey, well, Coach, I was going to send you a text, but it was too long, so I'm going to call you. All right, and if I need to send you this, I'll after listening to your podcast with him, I told him, hey, Coach, really like listen to it, that book I'm about to order, blah, blah. He sent me his notes from his book. Those guys they're good. And here's the deal. They're going to share because they understand too. It doesn't matter what they give you. It's how you do it. And I think that's the biggest aspect with those guys is the guys at the top, the Kevin Eastmans, the Mike Neighbors, those guys, they grow the game of basketball. They're genuine in how they do it. And they're just really good.
Yeah. The tough thing to me is now when you got these guys out there that are willing to share and give you their thoughts and their notes, is how do you choose what you use, what you don't? Because and Clarkson made that comment, like everything just sounds so good, but you can't do everything. So how do you choose that?
I think you have to understand, number one, where you're at. You touched on a little bit earlier. What works at Faith is not going to work at McKinney High, or what works in Anna might not work at.
That's true. Not with Wes's crew. Yeah.
So I mean, you have to understand where you're at. You have to understand who you are as a coach, as a leader, and you have to understand what your kids are good at. I think that comes from I'm not quite sure. Anna's I would say I've been here for 6 years now. So for me, I haven't had that next stop as far as what works here works someplace else. So, but I think you have to get comfortable where you're at and see what fits.
The Jamodi Podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
Culture is a buzzword that, it's so many of these older coaches that I get to talk to make comments about how culture was never discussed. That word was never used 10, 15 years ago. And now it's like, it seems like it's what you see or hear every day, but it's basically how we show up, what do we stand for, who we are. So how, in your opinion, does culture drive the performance of your program?
For us, culture is everything we do. So my second year here, we won 5 games. I actually think we played you guys in our tournament that year. And you had like 7 kids out for SAT testing.
And it was close too, right?
It was close. It was, we helped for the last shot. Y'all got the steal. But that's kind of like how our season went, right?
Yeah.
Like we couldn't catch a break. It never worked out, right? But we finished that year. Tom was like, number one, okay, why do teams lose, right? So we lost that year because we weren't great at basketball, obviously, okay? But we dealt with so much more than that, all right? Number two, okay, it allowed me to see what our program was lacking. My first 3 years as a head coach, I had good players, and they just covered a lot of things up, So when you're behind or you don't have the talent as other people, I think as Art Brow said, if you can't be the best at something, you got to be different, right?
Yeah.
So we had to figure out how to be the best at everything we do. So we looked at, all right, how can we be the best at grades? How can we be the best at skill development? How can we be the best team at practice? How can we be the best team at preparing for practice? How can we intertwine our parents into our program? I think that's a big one. How do we fit our admin and show appreciation for the people who work around our community and get those guys intertwined? So for us, culture is not just a word. Culture is how we do everything. Nothing is a checkbox for us. We want everything to be an event. We want it to be first class for our kids. We want it to be a memory that they remember. And we want it to be something that it provides success.
I think it's a great reminder that whether you have a good season, from good players that cover some things up, or you have a rough season, one, reevaluate, look and see the systems that you have in place that and ways that you can improve. I think, but you nailed it. Like you said, obviously we weren't good at the basketball stuff. I think a lot of coaches, I've been guilty of it. after a season, only focus on that piece. Offensively, we just weren't that great. So what are some other things I need to find? And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but within your culture, because I believe actually your style of play is a part of your culture. Like it's not something, here's our culture, but then here's the basketball piece. They have to go together. But how many coaches are only focusing on that one piece that they feel like they have to control, where it might be something like you said, there's a dynamic with our parents. They feel disconnected. How do I bring those stakeholders in to what we're doing? Like, I think you're right on the money there.
Yeah, one of the things we really looked at was, like you said, the parents. So what can we do to bring them in, like you're talking about? So we do a mom's clinic. It's one of my favorite days of the year, right? So we bring the moms in, the kids put them through a practice, all right? A practice. And we let them
Yeah.
have some fun. The kids introduce them. They have a handshake with the moms going through starting lineups. And then it's really cool. Well, when we get done, we circle up and all the kids tell why they're appreciative of their mom. All right. So now the mom sees, okay, hey, because we practice at 6:30 in the morning. So our kids are having to get up there at 6 a.m. because of our gym situation. So, our moms are usually the ones bringing them up there. So they're sacrificing a lot. And it shows our appreciation for them as a program and both their son as well. But it's really cool because there's always a kid whose mom maybe is working or, they work a lot, single mom, and they're not around as much. So there's always that mom who goes over not only for her son, but for someone else's son. So that player as well is going to talk about why he's appreciative of that mom. So it's really cool, and it brings that different dynamic into it. So,
Coach, that's really good.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
I got it from our athletic director when I was at Athens. So he did it for football. So I was like, man, that's cool.
When you say take them through a practice, and you kind of nailed it, like a little slogan, I think for me doing this is, it's not what you do, but how you do what you do. That's important. So you say you take them through a practice, like how long, what does that look like?
So we're going to do, it's probably going to last 45 minutes. So we bring them in to show them around the locker room. We give them a tour. They always talk about how it stinks, So they come in, and then we give them trivia questions that have to do with our team. We give them like wristbands, headbands. We have some old jerseys, some old jerseys. So they all want to wear the old jerseys. That puts them on teams. Then they're going to go out, and we're going to go through a simulated thing. It's funny to see the kids. The mom's not in the defensive stance; they're all on the line. But they don't really practice. We just let them have some fun. And then, like I said, we've done it 3-4 years now. So every mom, if you've done it for all four, we've come up with different versions. So the one last year was game day as a coyote. Like you come in, and how does game day look? We're going to have a pregame meal. We ate with them. We went over our film, how we watch film before we play, those type of things. So we just do different versions of it.
I like that. You mentioned that you do 6:30 morning or 6:30 a.m. practices. How has that affected you? Like, what benefits do you see from it? How have you guys adjusted to that early time? Because I don't think many guys have to do that.
We love it. And here's the deal. I did not like it. So we went to first period athletics probably 4 years ago. Now we're in fourth period. But so we have one main gym. Our back gym is an aux gym, but has a rubber floor.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to, if our kids all come with our girls, our varsity and JV would be in the aux gym. And it's just, I don't like being back there. I like shooting where we're going to play and those type of things. But the 6:30, I love. Number one, the kids are done. When they're done with practice, they're done with practice. So now they have a better day. Number two, they haven't had a bad day yet. They haven't gotten in an argument with their girlfriend, haven't made a bad grade on a test, those type of things. And we've done it so long here now that no one knows any different. The parents have bought into it. They show up. We start at 6:30. We still expect them here 15 minutes before, loose, ready to go. So their mind's right, those type of things. And we've done some different things as far as practice to kind of, we're not naive to the fact, look, these are kids. There might be a day where they sleep, like they their alarm doesn't go off and it's 6:40, 6:45. So we put shooting first. So if that's something they need to make up, they can make up. So
Oh, that's good. I like that you kind of built instead of being late or because of that's a unique time, a unique circumstance, and life does come up. I mean, obviously the goal is to not be late, but this thing where maybe they're terrified about coming, or they might even consider just calling it a day, being sick, missing the whole thing so they don't have to deal with it. I like the fact that you put something at the front of practice, which I truly believe in, that is fun. What's wrong with starting out practice with the most fun thing in basketball, which is shooting?
Oh, definitely agree. Definitely.
If you don't mind, would you take us through a little bit about like what the culture of your program is like? What do you guys stand for? If your players were to come in and kind of and you ask them, hey, what's our culture? What would you want them to say?
They're going to say that we're competitive and we want to compete in everything that we do. And we want to implement that on and off the floor into grades. We want to compete in the way we approach practice. We want to compete in practice. So, and once again, this is something I got from Coach McCaslin at that clinic is we chart wins and losses. We put them on different teams and we let them compete. Number two is energy and enthusiasm. So we're going to be excited about playing the game of basketball. So I don't want guys who dread coming to practice. And I think we changed the way we practice. I think we are made it competitive. So it's more fast paced and they enjoy it more. They just get to play more. So I think they're going to say energy and enthusiasm from that aspect. The way that translates into games is when our varsity's playing, our JV and freshmen are behind them, and we form our own student section on the road, or if we're at home, they're staying for the game. Our varsity is going to the back gym, watching our freshmen play before they play, just building that camaraderie. But the energy and enthusiasm, my favorite quote is nothing great's ever been accomplished without enthusiasm. I just think if you fake energy to me, it's still energy.
Yeah.
So I tell them all the time, like, I don't do I'm not a rah-rah guy. You're either teaching or you're encouraging in our practice in the way we do things. So you're either coaching someone up or you're encouraging them to do it. And then the third one I would say is we want to be, we want to be tough. And I think everyone uses that phrase. And I've heard you talking with people, what is tough,
Yeah.
we define it for them. So we say tough is number one, T is time. You're going to spend your time on what's important to you. Always the opportunity. We never waste an opportunity, whether it be on the court, in the classroom, whatever it is. You for us is us. So we're always together. It's never about one individual, no matter how good the individual is. It's always about us. G is the grit and grind. We talk about you gotta be tough to be, or you gotta grind, and winning takes what it takes. And then H is I struggled to find one for H, but it was we came up with heart. So our deal is heart posture. You can't fake it if it's not in your heart, So if something's important to you, we use the example of a mother, a mama bear, when you see the videos of moms rescuing their child, doing something crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when your heart's in something, you're going to fight more for it. It's going to mean more. So we really talk to them about that aspect.
So is that something, because I think TJ Rosine at Emmanuel does such a great job teaching culture. And he made a comment about how culture isn't just, it's at the top of your practice sheet. You say something, you check it off, but it's more infused into almost everything that you do. And as coaches, we are kind of like with how teachers look for teachable moments. We're looking for moments in our practices to infuse and talk about culture, or like that acronym. Do you find, because you have what is tough, because you have it defined, that you're able to see, or you're looking for those specific attributes more?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think it gives the kids a vision of what you're looking for, like you said,
Because how often are we wanting, I'll be honest, I don't think that I do a great job of creating competitive, tough players. It's not that we're weak, but there's just always a part that of my teams in the past where I feel like, man, like, or how many coaches say we just need to be tougher. Our guys just don't know how to compete. If that's what I'm saying, or that's what coaches are thinking, I mean, isn't that our fault? Like, isn't it up to us? And so when I hear, that's why I ask coaches, like, okay, you want to be tough, you want to compete, what are you doing to make that happen? I think you have answered that a little bit, but man, I struggle with that.
What about video clips? So like when you watch it with your team, and this is once again, Coach McCaslin, we don't show them the negatives as much. If there's something we have to fix as a team, we'll show them that, but we're showing them the positives, but we want to show them those tough plays that lead to winning, like you're talking about. So I like doing that.
I just had kind of a light bulb moment, I think, and I love getting to do this because those happen a bunch. You already gave me one thing I know I'll take away is the mom practice. I love that. But you're right. I'm a big believer in teaching from highlights. So we're gonna show the majority the next day clips are going to be the good things that we did, and from those good things, I'm going to show them what we want and why, instead of showing the negative clips that are the opposite of the good clips that we had. Because it's easy to put those negative clips up, like, listen, look how far you are. Instead, find the positives and marvel and celebrate the position that we're in, the way that we upped it, the way that we stayed space, we didn't get creepy, the way that we gave a one more there. Because I think all of those guys are seeing those things happen. On that note, though, I could probably do a better job of, instead of moments where the ball was loose and we didn't get on it, or a moment where a guy is flying through the air and we don't slide over and take it, how about I go the same direction and have a few hustle clips instead of just, I don't know, made threes or something like that.
Yeah. We do we call them winning basketball plays. Yeah. So, but definitely. I love that.
That's good. Do you do any type of highlights or anything before games to kind of get them going? I wish we had the ability of, like, what was it? Pete Carroll at the Seahawks said, even like at halftime and then right after games, they're just showing highlights. They have highlights in there. Ian, he said, even after losses, I mean, that's impressive.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I would love to do that. Do you guys do anything like that before?
We don't. We go over the other team. It's funny you said that, but I've seen football coaches do it, and that's something I think you had someone on discussing that before. But anyways, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, what I've seen is, and we used to carry, I think I have it back there. I bought this little projector that I could just plug it right into something and it would shoot on the wall. The screen was really, really bad, but before, and obviously you and I talked a little bit at the beginning about I focus a little bit more on us than them, but the highlights, to me, creating that highlight film before every game, just for them, a minute and a half, but for them to see themselves, because some players, we talked, Kobe Bryant had this just amazing ability to see things, before they have visualization. Some guys have that, but other guys, why not literally show these clips, get them hyped up? They go out to warm-ups feeling like they're about to do something amazing. I think there's something to that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Ballology. What's your BSA score? The Ballology Skills Assessment is the only verified skills metric endorsed by the NAIA, NJCAA, and a growing number of NCAA coaches to discover and develop the best talent for your team. This 4-minute, 40-shot test can be taken free today on the Ballology mobile app. Elevate your game. Individual skill development is kind of a buzzword too, because I think skill development is this huge umbrella that, like, you can fit so many things. People talk about skill development or skill coaches. They think about, a one guy, a group of 6, 2-ball, cones, med ball, all the things that I do happen to love, but that's where they go to. But skill work is really, it's more than that. It's working on your shot. It's small-sided games that lead to, the actions offensively that you want. There's defensive skill work. that if you choose to do that you can do. But how do you incorporate individual skill work into daily practice?
Our first hour is all skill work, and honestly, I probably don't do as much of the team aspect as I need to, and that's something that I caught this year. It's probably first round of district. I'm like, we're just not clicking offensively,
Mm,
and I think a lot of it is they got to play together and those type of things and get in a rhythm with each other and understand what you're looking for. But from a skill perspective, we're big on shooting, passing, dribbling, but I think decision making is a big one. And
yeah.
then it, one that we're adding and we're really focused on is competing. So that aspect I think is a big one for us. Not only how you compete, but so we have segments, right? So our practice is, we're always going to do a one on one. We're always going to do a small sided games, 3-on-3, whatever. We want to see how they handle losing and move forward to the next segment. So for us, I got that from Coach Pierce at Wiley, who's another good one. But he does like I want to see how guys get their guys going when we do push-ups for losing or they get on the line. I want to see if after they lose, do they pout, or are they going to pick their teammates up? Are they going to talk to them about key points they need to focus on in the next segment, so I want to look at that aspect. But from the skill perspective, as far as shooting, we're going to shoot individually for at least 10 minutes. We have Mondays during the off season is our or our shooting day. We call it the Highway 5 Challenge. So we're going to have 5 different shooting drills that we do. Usually takes about 35 minutes. We're going to chart those. We're going to have an all-time leaderboard. We're going to put it on our social media platform, the top 5 for each category, and we're going to share them with the parents. But we're going to do a stationary shooting. We're going to do move. We're going to do, I know you talked about, I believe, the speed. You think shooting is speed, So we're big on that aspect now. I got that from you. So we're going to shoot a lot. Ball handling, we want to be very good at change of pace and ball manipulation. I just think when I watched this play this year, this first time in my career, I looked, I'm like, we're not very good at handling the basketball. I think we can shoot it, but it doesn't look clean. And I thought that aspect is what we've really focused this spring on. And it already looks so much better. Our finishing is getting better due to the fact that we're handling it better. We're shooting it better off the dribble due to the fact we feel more comfortable handling it. We're going to work footwork and finishing. I think that's big, but we do that through our one-on-one games and those things. Decision making, once again, through our one-on-one, 3-on-3, the small-sided games from that. So.
What percentage would you think? So let's just say you've got, in season, you've got your 2-hour clip or your practice. What percentage of the time is individual skill work versus, and when I say straight team, because I do think, man, I think the small sided games can almost be in both, right? Like where it's kind of a part of both. But what would you think your split is?
I say 80% to 20%, and I'll probably need to be closer to 70-30. Just what I think works for our guys. But I think and here's the deal too. We have a lot of kids the last 2 years that played football. I'll have eight varsity kids this year out of 10 play football. So for me, getting them back, I got to get their legs underneath them, got to get their shot right, and we got to kind of play catch up as far as the skill aspect. So I would say probably 80-20 last year. When we got closer to February, it probably got 70-30. So
I love that, man. 80-20. I think that's great. But then what it does to me is it challenges your style of play. I mean, I would imagine it has to be pretty simple with not a lot of moving parts and not 20 things they're trying to do every possession, or else, you run out of time, because you can have ultra skilled guys or guys that are developing their skill. But if they can't perform what you're doing because you don't have the time for that, you run into trouble. So do you feel like because you're doing more skill work, it forces you to be a little bit more simplistic? And I don't think it's a bad thing in how you play.
Oh, definitely. And I tell them all the time, look, we got a motto in Anna. It's number 1, we're going to get swole. Number 2, we're going to get buckets. So that's our motto. So We're going to teach them how to use simple concepts. I think we're going to use it. We're going to teach them how to use a drag, a double drag. We run some pistol and some, we call it backside action, which is like our European ball screen type stuff. But we keep it very simple. We try to teach them how to create an advantage and then how to keep the advantage, but a lot of the kids that we have now, which I didn't have last year was probably the first year I've had it, is they can create off the dribble, and I think you talked about the Casio stuff and the spacing, and I was trying to or I'm going to try to pick your brain about that. But I think for us, it's teaching them how to play with space, how to create, how to play with space, and just how to make those decisions once you do.
I think it's so important that, like, how you described that you're doing all this individual skill work, which, again, I just go back to what's the most fun. Like, most of our players aren't going to play after high school, and even the ones that do, I think we serve them the best by helping them to be individually the best they can possibly be. But I think what handcuffs some of us or makes us worried about doing too much skill work is the time that we won't have to do all the other things. And that maybe that's the stretch for us, is to do less offensively and defensively, try to be better at those things, be excellent in fewer things, and then allow more time for their shot, which everybody knows the better shooters you have, the better your offense looks, the better your transition defense is. I mean, it really helps a lot of areas. And then ball handling. So, like, feel is one of those words that people say, like, Luka just has this incredible feel for the game. Well, I don't like that, but I've used it before, because like tough. What is that? What is feel? The ability just for that ball to look comfortable in your hands, for you to see the decision and have the ability to make the decision. I think ball handling, and I'm talking old school Maravich drills, two ball, anything that can get them doing multiple things at one time, and that mind-body connection gives them that feel that you said it. They're handling it better now. Their pull-ups are better now. Their finishes are better now. I would imagine their passing's better now because of that feel that they have. But you only get that if you dedicate the time to those things that some people say are a waste.
Let me add one more, because you hit it on the nail, but they play faster. So, like, because you're doing all this skill development and this decision making and all this stuff, now they play faster because you're simpler. Zach Keller, I'm telling you right now, is one of the best skill guys like, you watch Keller and they just play so fast. It's not like their guys are that athletic. They just know how to play. And that's what people tell us, like, coach, your guys are athletic. We're really not, like, we just can play at a faster speed because, like you said, it's the way we practice and keeping it simple.
The thing, athleticism is important, but the ball is the great equalizer. So I was just used to, at Baylor, football guys would come in the gym and they could jump like super high. But if I give them the ball at the 3-point line and I guard them, they can't do anything with it. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but like guys that hadn't played, if we line up side by side and just sprint, man, they'll beat me all day long. You put a ball in his hand, I'm going to smoke that dude while we're both dribbling full court, because the ball is a great equalizer. So you can take, and we play in a confined space. So there's not this idea that, there's the better athletes always win. And you can appear to be fast if you're deliberate, if you know exactly where you're going, you take guesswork out. And I think limiting options, like, they shouldn't have 8 options every time down the floor, because how in the world do they choose the right one, or their brains not explode? But you give them, like you said, space and a few concepts that they know they can go to, and you get guys that appear to be faster. Social media. And I was listening to a podcast years ago. The guy said, if you're a coach and you're not using social media to promote your programs, you're behind. And I, like you, I'm competitive. I don't want to be behind. And so I started doing that. How do you use social media to promote your program or enhance your program?
Yeah, we're going to use it to communicate. We're going to use it to promote our kids. We're going to use it to promote our program. But I think the biggest thing with social media is it allows transparency. So it
Mm,
allows people to see things in your program that or your life that they normally wouldn't be able to see.
mm.
And I think that's what draws everyone to it. So for us, I don't know if you follow the Duncanville Twitter, all right? But they have a social media person who just goes around and I think her name's Brittany Graham, does an unbelievable job. She just does clips for them and that aspect. Well, my assistant last year was really like, I could tell him something. Hey, man, I want to do this, I want it to look like this. And I show him the clip and he would, okay, coach, give me some time. Let me do it. Right. So we use it and it allows people from outside who follow your program to kind of get to know your kids
Yeah.
so that they see them play, but they don't know them. Everyone says they have good kids, but when you can kind of see them interact and see those things, and the kids like it. And then also, the highlights. I mean, nowadays, I mean, you hit on the nail earlier. You need a highlight after every game, so it promotes the kids. It helps with communication. Our To me, I'll probably use it a little too much as far as what we do. But I just think social media is a huge aspect of that.
I asked my guys the other day because they're like during our spring, I like the skill work that we do. And I just take a lot of it from Micah Lancaster. I just think
Oh yeah,
I think he's a genius, and the way that he connects the game to these accountability tools is really helpful. Um, but I have injured athletes at the time. They are my filmers, for the week. And so when we're doing these workouts, I have them film some stuff, and I take the time to put it together. And I've done that, and I put them out there, and I don't really know how my guys felt about it or anything. So I asked them the other day, I was like, guys, is this something you want me to do, or do you not care? And I'm not upset if you don't care. I really want to know, because I don't want to ever put anything out there or do anything that either embarrasses you, or you don't like, you don't think is cool, or you think is a waste of time. And there wasn't one kid that said, and I really try to set them up to be able to tell me exactly how they felt, not I'm leading them to the answer that I want them to say. And
yeah.
they all loved it. And so I told them, I was like, okay, well, I'll do it again. And so or I'll keep doing it. But you're right. Like guys like Duncanville, I had PV on at the very beginning of doing this,
They lived in the middle of
and
practice.
lift in the huge takeaway there, blew my mind there. But I was super impressed with him, and because yeah, they've got amazing players, but so does every NBA team. They don't all win. Like you still have to have a great culture. You still have to have that to control that machine, and but then their social media game, it's top notch, and it's like something for us to aspire to. But on the highlights part too, I thought, like Baylor is one of my favorite men's programs to follow, not just because of my ties, but they're so creative. Like they do highlights after losses. Why don't we? Like, are you telling me that after a loss, there's nothing good that happened, that we are just so disgusted that we have to throw that game away and we're not even going to talk about it or look at it? Or can I help to frame the narrative of, hey, just like every other game? I mean, if our motto is 1-0, our goal is to be 1-0 tonight. That didn't happen, but the next one we want to be 1-0. So here are some of the good things that we did. With that thought process, I think social media can really help to shape a little bit of the narrative that as a coach you want people to, or your players to think about your program.
It's getting the brand out there, you know,
And
and
everybody
like
has a brand, whether they want it or
exactly,
not. It's like culture. Everybody has a
exactly.
culture, whether they want it or not. It just might not be good. And the same with your basketball brand. And to not think of it or view it that way, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. And you talk about Duncanville and the way they do, like their brand. I mean, it's huge. It's a national brand for a high school basketball program. It's the way they do things. You talk about Coach Lee was talking about social media and how he uses it. It's just I think it's a huge part now of high school athletics. Anna actually has a coach now who was designated for running the social media aspect for
Man,
our athletic program. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge part for everything. So,
that's big time. That right there is big time. And what's funny is we have one coach here, and I'm going to give her a shout out on this. Coach Hannah St. Pierre. She's our girls coach. She uses Photoshop. She's incredible with the way that she can take maybe an image that someone else, a college team, is doing, and actually recreate it and make it her own. I can, if you give me a PSD, which is the Photoshop form, I can manipulate, change the colors and do it, but like she can create something from nothing. She does almost all of our sports here at Faith.
wow.
And the only sport that she doesn't do is basketball, because I do ours, which is, but people don't understand, I don't think, the time that it takes. So for 7th, 8th grade, our 2 JVs and me, like to do something for those, I mean, you're talking hours of the day, and then she does it across. So like, yeah, it is, if you want to be excellent in that arena, because if you're not excellent, I think it comes off bad pretty quick.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you do your best to be excellent. That person in that position, it's becoming a must at high school programs.
Yeah. And I think too now with the way people are moving, they're moving into North Texas. Like your accountability rating as a school district is a huge thing.
Mm.
But also, I mean, people are picking school districts based on success. Can their kid be successful in those things? And you're showing that they can. So
Here's another thing about, I think, social media for your program is it gives you the ability to highlight all of your players. Because if you only highlight, as let's say you have a couple guys that are like players of the week nominees, okay, they have a phenomenal game, or you only highlight the leading scorer of every game, it's probably going to be, for most programs, the same guy or other guy, every other game. But when you start to, like Duncanville does, we try to do it, but like highlight, let people in behind the scenes for some of these other guys on your team. And it's always funny to me when I see other sports, and not that Coach St. Pierre is doing it, but other parents are asking, why don't we get to do that?
yeah.
She just goes back and says, well, the coaches do that for basketball, but like it's something that people want, but are you willing to put the time, and do you see the value in it? I think that's what it comes down to. Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. So you made a comment about having 8 out of your 10 varsity players coming from football. Like, that's a really large amount. And how do you, because at Faith, we're a small school. We have a lot of multiple sport athletes. And I do my very, very best to not ever dissuade them from playing football. I don't know if I all out promote them doing that, because I feel like if we're just talking about basketball, then being in the gym more is good. And I do believe it really depends on what they want. If they don't want to play football, I tell them they don't have to play football. But if they want to, I never tell them don't do that. It's going to hurt your game. But how do you create, if you have 8 out of 10, obviously you're doing something right in the fact that guys feel like they can play football, but it's not going to hurt you or the program or their chances of playing. So how do you navigate that dynamic?
I think for us, the biggest aspect is the gym available. So I tell kids all the time, there's things you're going to get from playing football that I can't provide you in the gym. The physical aspect, the toughness, those type of things. But at the same time, when we go to Melissa or Ben Austin in January for a district game, those guys aren't going to care that you played football. So if you're not going to spend time in the spring and summer making up for that time you're going to lose, like you're not going to be successful. Like basketball is a skilled sport, so you have to be able to put the ball in the basket. And I think that's the aspect that we've really focused on this spring. Is I think our football team is about to be really, really good. I think they're going to be playing in December. I think they're that good. And I think when you don't have an October or November with those guys, that you really have to utilize your spring and summer more. So we've really, like when I said our spring earlier, we've been focusing on that. I'm telling them right now, this is our November. We have to get our stuff in. As a coach, I have to have a good feel of what we're going to be doing, and we have to get good at it right now. So,
are you able to have your football guys like during the spring? As far like sharing them with that time, because I've heard of some programs that it's every other day thing. At our school, when basketball's over, they go to football. I don't see them again until November.
No, so, I mean they're in football because football's next. You know what I mean, and they're going to be in there. Our football coach does a good job of working with us as far as, so after school, they can come into the gym, those things. The kids will call him on the weekends if he's up there working. Coach, can I come up? He'll open up the gym for him.
Nice.
So, I mean, like,
man,
yeah, so,
having that relationship good, that's important.
And here's the, if a kid's in the gym, he's usually running or, his hand-eye coordination, those things. So, I mean, they're getting better at something,
Yeah.
So, but no, we don't get them in that stuff. So we play, and then we're going to practice our spring team one night a week with their spring coach. So they're going to do that, and that's how we try to utilize our spring games as our practices. So.
Man, that's smart. I would really, because you mentioned early on that some guys have opinions on spring ball, summer ball. In that situation, when the majority of your guys from August to probably December aren't going to be with you, you're right. Like the focus that you have to have, what a great reminder for guys in my position right now, just to be grateful, because I've got a lot of those guys in the gym right now that I'll have next year. I mean, possibly, I hate to say it, possibly my starting five, but who knows, right? Things change, and I've given up expecting what I see right now to be what actually is there in November, because things change. But a great reminder to do the best with the time we have and with who's in the gym. So I appreciate that, man.
Here's one, and you hit this on the nail this summer. With the way kids move now, and especially with you at the private school or with us now in public school, like it doesn't matter how good you think you're going to be next year. You know what I mean? You have to be appreciative, like you said, of what you have that year. I think that was a great insight from you on that.
Well, I just know that the last 3 years, the team that has lost, when we've lost our last game, I left thinking, you know what? This group's going to be back. Like we have a lot of depth and we're young. And COVID hits, and a great player that I had made a really good basketball decision for himself, but that changed the dynamic. But then there's a little bit of what I think what I'm learning from a lot of these great coaches I talk to is the level of trust that they have. Like for me, it'd be I trust that God is going to put the right people in the gym, the people that I'm supposed to have in the gym. So instead of stressing about what are we going to do or how could he make that decision to go there after the year he just had and what we could be next year, it's kind of like I'm trying to remind myself right now to remember those things. But yeah, I think the best ones have this level of trust and that the right people will be there, when the season begins.
It's a good way to look at it. Very good way.
Hard to do. Yeah. Let's go to the speed round, because I've got to learn a little bit about how you run your program and stuff, but now I'll get to know about you as a person. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookie two-step.
You and Dan Lee.
Yeah, he hit on the nail. And I remember you saying you've never heard of that. You need to check that one out.
It's funny. Now that I heard it, I see it's at Tom Thumb. Like so now I never heard of it. And plus I'm not from here. I mean, I know I've lived in Texas now long enough, but I didn't grow up here. So maybe that's why kind of my Yankee-ness, not knowing what that is.
Gotcha.
But I haven't had it yet. For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
Shot clock.
Texting or talking?
Depends on the person, usually texting.
Good answer. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
Favorite NBA player of all time?
Kobe Bryant.
Favorite coach of all time?
Ooh, that's
hard.
That is a good one. Favorite coach, I would say probably Saban.
Nice. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to? But you can just observe the period. You don't have to be in it.
The 80s.
Nice.
Yeah.
Your favorite place to travel?
I want to go to Europe. Think that would be fun. Never been, but I'd love to take that trip. For me, I love going to Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Just kind of getting away, nice little area. So I like going up there.
How old are you, Coach?
36.
Okay, man, you're young. Favorite childhood TV show?
Oh, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Nice.
Yeah.
No hesitation. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
2. One on the way to work, and I did used to put 2 in the cup on the way, but now 1 on the way to work. And I just realized our cafeteria has a coffee pot they have back there, and they make the best coffee. So I get another cup when I get to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a gift right there.
Oh, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Right? And so probably 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in, it has changed my life.
Last one, probably the most important: Godfather or Star Wars?
Godfather.
You could say neither.
I would say maybe Godfather. So
Okay.
or closer to neither than.
Okay, favorite genre or movie? Like, what's your go-to?
Man, can I say The Last Dance?
Yeah, like documentary types, especially about that was.
I like learning about people. So that I like the Tom Brady one going on right now, Man in the Arena.
Yeah,
I like that. So
favorite moment in Last Dance?
Oh, when he's talking about winning and leadership.
My favorite was Roy Williams talking about how a lot of dudes can turn it on and off, but he said that sucker never turned it off. I got chills.
Yeah.
I got chills when he said that. Hey, Coach, this was awesome, and I really appreciate you have such a calm demeanor. I would imagine that, like, even in pretty hectic moments, that you just have a really cool ability to calm your team down and to get them focused. Because I just kind of felt that from you throughout our talk, but just really appreciate your time.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. And like I said, I love you doing these things. So I listened to quite a few of them. So you've taken the place of slapping glass. So yeah, it's big time, man. So thank you.
Wow, that's huge, because those guys and Hardwood Hustle to me are just like, man.
Which one on Hardwood Hustle?
Hardwood Hustle. That's it was Adam Bradley and Alan Stein back in the day. Now It's TJ Rosine and Sam Allen. It's under the PGC umbrella. Those guys are just, I'm a huge PGC fan, so anything with them. But man, thanks for saying that. And this was great.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.